Representative Thomas Massie, a Republican in the House of Representatives and the closest person to a libertarian, was able to question Horowitz, the federal government's investigator general, the IG. And he decided to ask him questions about this secret report that is being held back about January 6th. Now, Massie already knows what's in here, but he can't openly talk about it. But in this back and forth discussion, it is revealed that the FBI was crawling all over Capitol grounds. The FBI informants went into the Capitol with people that have now gone to jail for 5 years, 10 years, 15, 20 years, and they didn't have any repercussions. These FBI agents lied, they broke rules of engagement, and they did all of this to make Donald Trump look bad. Let's go ahead and listen to this bombshell testimonial from earlier.
Inspector General Horowitz, over the past 3 years, I've questioned FBI Director Wray and Attorney General Merrick Garland about the federal assets, such as confidential human sources that were present on January 6th at the Capitol, and they have continuously stonewalled me. We've got no answers whatsoever about this from them. Now, you announced that you were going to do a review of the DOJ response and preparation, mainly preparation, I think, for January 6th. When did you start that review? When did you announce that review?
We announced it in 2021, but we ended up pausing it because of the ongoing criminal cases consistent with how we perform our work. We reinitiated it last year, and I'm in the process of reviewing a draft of the report.
So 3.5 years ago, it was announced that you'd be doing this review, and we still don't have the review, do we?
Okay, so they've known just how many FBI agents were on the ground. They know whether they were instigating the chaos and the riots. They know how many of them went into the building, pretended to do vandalism and damage, all to entrap American patriots that wondered whether the election was free and fair. They've known all of this, and Michael Horowitz has been instructed to slow walk this so that the details don't come out before the election. And he is being told, do not release this information. And Thomas Massie is trying to get this information out of him.
No, as I said, the reason is we paused the review because of the ongoing criminal work that would, consistent with our practice, we don't interfere with ongoing criminal investigations.
So,
okay, think about this. There are people sitting in jail right now because this report has been delayed being released. They know that a lot of the information in this report from the Inspector General, Michael Horowitz, is going to get a lot of people out of prison. It's going to overturn some of these criminal charges. And they know for a fact how many FBI agents there were, the damage they did, and how many of them went into the building.
but now that you've restarted it, do you have evidence of the number of confidential human sources that were operating on the Capitol grounds on January 6th?
Our report will include the information in that regard.
Can you tell us today how many there were? Were there more than 100?
I'm not in a position to say that, both because it's in draft form and we have not gone through the classification review. And so,
okay, you see that? They're now trying to make this report that has all of these details that would free American patriots and vindicate Donald Trump. They're now saying, oh, we now have to put this through another review process to make sure no top secret information leaked out. This is an umbrella to delay this, and Thomas Massie's going to get to the bottom of this in just a minute.
So I need to be careful on what
So we're 4 years in. The reason to do these reports, I think, is so we don't make this, if there were any mistakes, not to make the same mistakes again, but we are just weeks away from the inauguration. We're 4 years, almost 4 years into this report. When is it going to be released?
It's certainly my hope and expectation, although I don't control this entirely because it has to go through a classification review, but certainly in the next couple of months is my hope.
Do you think, is there any consideration for the election about the release of this report? Would you delay it in order to not release it right before the election?
At this point, given the process that has to play out in terms of classification review and all of that, I don't have to make any judgment about that.
Okay, think about this. They know what they're doing. They 100% know what they are doing in rigging the election. Think about this. They learned their lesson. We cannot have information come out right before a Donald Trump election about Hillary Clinton and her emails, right? Remember, the FBI did that just right before the election, and it swung the election to Donald Trump. Same thing when the Hunter Biden laptop came out. What happened? 51 former intelligence advisors jumped in to immediately lie, deceive the American people, and then bury the story. The FBI buried it with Facebook. They buried it with Instagram. They buried it on the internet. They also buried it on Twitter, which was not under Elon Musk's control at the time. And so that 15% of people said they would not have voted for Biden if they had known about the laptop from hell of Hunter Biden that showed the Biden crime families. So now they have this information that vindicates Donald Trump, proves that the FBI was behind the January 6th Capitol chaos, and he's now going to bury it on behalf of the federal government.
We're still, that still has to go on. Just to give you a sense of it, when I did the Pfizer deal,
you're saying it's not even going to be done in time before the election?
it doesn't, I doubt it would be done in time for the election.
Is it going to be done before the inauguration?
That is certainly my hope. And my
It's your hope. We're 4 years into it, and we know what we do know is you're going to expose that there were confidential human sources at the Capitol.
Okay, now listen. Michael Horowitz is not a bad guy. He's actually the Inspector General that exposed the Russiagate collusion. He's the guy that exposed the FISA courts that were used, weaponized against Donald Trump. He helped expose that Obama was spying on Donald Trump and that Hillary Clinton had done the dossier. So he's not a bad guy, but he is being told what to do. And what he's being told to do is delay this report for years, now have it go through a classification cleanup process, but do not, under any circumstances, release this to the American public before the election. Why? Because it's going to make Donald Trump look good. That's why.
Can you tell us today how many went into the Capitol?
I'll have that information in the report. I'm not able to speak to information in there, both because it's in draft and we get a response from the department and the FBI, okay, but also because I don't know yet what's classified and not classified.
So,
and you know, when this report comes out, it's going to be heavily redacted because, again, I've had FBI agents that have come on my show. I've had former CIA. They will do everything in their power to protect the agency. The FBI does not want it out to the public that they were behind the January 6th Capitol breach. This guy knows it. He's looking Thomas Massie in the eyes and he's like, I know how many there were. I know the damage they did. I know the chaos they created. I know how many of them went into the Capitol, but he can't say it. He can't say it. He wants to.
If they broke the law, if they went into the Capitol, which we pretty much know there were confidential human sources who went into the Capitol and
yes,
right there alongside of everybody else, wouldn't they need to follow DOJ CHS protocols? And do you know if those were followed?
They should follow CHS protocols. And again, we'll include that information in the report.
Do you know how many were reimbursed for travel?
As I sit here, I don't recall the number.
But I don't recall, or you won't tell us?
Well, and if I did know it, I wouldn't be in a position to tell you because we still have to go through.
We're 4 years into this. You're supposed to be the organization that goes and gets these answers when the FBI and the DOJ stonewall Congress. But I feel like, we're 4 years into this. We're not even going to get this information you're telling us now before the election. And maybe not even before the next inauguration. How would we make any corrections or without that information?
All right, think about this. Think about this. Donald Trump, we learn on November 6th. This is hypothetical, everybody. On November 6th, we learn Donald Trump has lost the election. And then we find out on November 7th that, oh, the Capitol chaos was created by the FBI. We just released this. Think about this. The Pfizer, Moderna, they all held back that they had a working vaccine until the Monday after the election. It's now been proven that that was all on purpose. And I'm not for the vaccine. I'm just telling you, they crafted this story. Oh, we're so close. Oh, we're so close. But they couldn't give the win to Donald Trump. So they waited until after the election had been declared in Joe Biden's name. This is exactly what's happening right now. So again, I don't think that this Michael Horowitz is a bad guy. I think that there is certain protocol that they are forcing him to go through so that it will drag out the answer that, yes, the FBI was behind all of the chaos. You can see it in his face. He knows the answers. He's read the report. He wrote the report. And Thomas Massie is like, you know what we're going to see, just tell us. And he's like, I can't. And then Thomas Massie is like, wow. So we're not going to learn the truth that Donald Trump was set up until after the election. And you guys probably know this, that General Milley, there's now a written statement, the General Milley, that the top general under Donald Trump knew that Donald Trump asked for 10,000 National Guard, and he rejected it, and Pelosi rejected it because of optics. They didn't want the U.S. military to look bad, and so they buried it, and then they lied about the story. That came out last week, and now this has come out that Thomas Massie knows that this guy knows the answers. He knows that the FBI was behind that, but they cannot give the win to Donald Trump because it would look bad. It makes me absolutely crazy.